What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sharpen the Public. As always, I'm your host, Deej, back finally with my co-host, Andy. It's been a bit of a time here. I've been traveling a lot for the past couple of weeks, and my laptop died on me, so I apologize for not putting out some content, but we are back to normal schedule. Andy and I are here to wrap up the NFL season over these next couple of weeks, and hopefully, keep our win streaks going into the playoffs. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a rough go of things the last 2 weeks for me as well. I've also been kind of slacking in the terms of giving out plays and talking NFL over the last 2 weeks, but back in form with 3 early best bets in my article on happyhoursports.net. So excited to talk a little bit about those with you. I won't dive into them too much since you can read about it on the site. But yeah, man, excited to kind of close the season out strong as the playoff picture is beginning to really take shape here. We got 3 weeks left. And now Christmas is 5 days away as we record this, which is fucking nuts. So yeah, this is a really cool slate that we have a lot of games spaced out over the next few days to enjoy NFL paired with all the bowl games going on. So really exciting time to be a football fan here as the year wraps up.
Yeah, it's an exciting week. You said with Christmas. I'm curious to see how the Christmas day plays out. I think it's going to be very similar to how we talked about Thanksgiving, where the public and favorites seem to do really well, despite, lines feeling like they shift more in the favorites' favor, just to kind of get lines and numbers moving that way. So we'll definitely hit those as we talk about those games, because it's a super, super interesting slate. But let's just get into the Sharpen the Public stuff, because like I said, I haven't really focused much on or I haven't been able to put out the podcast. So we haven't recapped everyone on the public betting trends over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to read these off to you, Andy, quickly, and we can kind of talk about the important stuff, hit the notes, and then, talk about Week 16. I'm excited about it. So Week 14, the public went 9-5 ATS, and then Week 15, 9-7 ATS. So still, they continue to stay positive, and it's I feel like over the last couple of weeks, we've kind of had our shift in our mentality where we've been okay, it's just they're doing well this entire year, and it'll be curious to see what they do next year. But at this point, it's who's to say that they're going to stop winning?
Yeah, it's time to cut back on we're in a bubble era. It's time to reel back on that a bit, and like you said, kind of accept this is going to be a good year for the public. Maybe we do look to the playoffs for that to change. I know historically there are some suggestions that the public will get slammed once the playoffs begin, but for now, I'm kind of, when I see public on one side, I don't necessarily just automatically fade, which is what the purpose of this podcast, of course. But I'm also not necessarily tailing either, just if I see the public on one side, because it just feels weird to be like, oh, the public's on that side, let me tail it, even though they have had so many successful weeks in a row. I'm just kind of discarding that information, if you will, and just going with what my research says.
It's like it's like a mental block where you don't want to bet, be like, hey, I should back the public because they win this year. And that's, again, like you said, the point of the podcast is to put context to the public betting data and be like, okay, you don't need to worry when a certain amount of bets is on a team and stuff. So it's really interesting from the podcast perspective, and then just as a whole, so we can sit back and say, I'll hint at it, but the public is 56% through 15 weeks in the NFL, which is just absolutely insane. But we'll cover that once we get all through these weekly trends. 4-4 on the over in Week 14, 5-5 on the over in Week 15. So we prefaced this a little bit a couple weeks ago, talking about how at the midpoint of the season, the public gets better at betting overs. And we know that historically they're just really bad betting overs. And we saw that last year. We saw that at the beginning of this year. But over the course of the last couple of weeks, they've been 50-50. And I expect that to stay the same. So we can't just sit here and say, okay, blindly fade the public when they're heavily backing it over. And glad to see that, our prediction that the midway point is coming to fruition there. Public on the under 2-4 in Week 14, public on the under 4-2 in Week 15. Nothing too crazy there. Anything on the totals, Andy?
I think the over thing is something I forgot about, that public on the over does better
in the second half of the season. Yeah.
In the second half of the season. Yeah. So that's something I'm going to monitor, because I completely forgot about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'll try and hit it harder when we talk about the general through 15 weeks trends too. Money in Week 14, 10-4. Money in Week 15, 7-9. So kind of a bit wavy there. I still think the money's going to hit hard over the last couple of weeks, because that's just how they do. Sharp differential 8-6, and then sharp differential 7-9 over Weeks 14 and 15. So right about 50-50 across the board for the money in sharps. So in my perspective, I think they're going to have a good end of the season. I think, like I've been saying, they have so much information on teams. They are just getting more confident in backing the teams that they like, right? So if I have $100,000 to bet, I'm gonna put it on a team that has done me well over the course of the season and more likely win.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that the money and sharps are sitting closer to 500 than the public are.
Yeah,
over the last 2 weeks. That's pretty baffling to me. So I think it's a fair prediction on your side that they should start to do a little bit better, especially as the season comes to a close here. I think too, I mean, I know that this happened last year, like when everyone's kind of been talking about how amazing it is that all these quarterbacks have played this season. I think we're at 58 different starting quarterbacks now, which is
fucking crazy.
Which is an absurd number. Last year there have been 59 by that point of week 15 apparently, which I feel like we kind of neglected to talk about last year, even though indirectly, right? We talked about it game by game, but not as a whole picture.
Sure.
I wonder if something like that plays into this, and it's a bit harder because we're realizing it more this year because the backup quarterback play has been so poor compared to last season, where it wasn't as much of a talking point because it wasn't at nearly as poor, or at least the number of quarterbacks played was not nearly as poor. And I think that plays a big factor where a lot of these offenses and what kind of day you're going to get from these guys is a lot more unpredictable than what we saw last year.
Yeah, you can look to the Chargers and Raiders game of Thursday night last week and be like, how the fuck do we think the Raiders are going to score 63 points? And
yeah,
it even also speaks to how low the totals are at this point in the season. 41.4 was the average total last week, and then the week before that it was 41.5. If I go to week 14 and 15 last year in 2022, the average total were 44.3 and 43.5. So it's just insane. That's a huge nail on the head. I think you just hit there. Like, yes, we've had a similar amount of differing quarterbacks, but it's just so much worse, or a lot worse offensive play that we're seeing this year, and the totals explain that.
Yeah, I mean, I was all aboard the Josh Dobbs wagon, and then he has that wagon has now had the wheels stolen off of it, and we've got Nick Mullins at the helm. And then I tried to fade the Jake Browning train when I took the Colts in week 15, or excuse me, in week 14. That horribly missed. We lost by 20. And then I tried to tail them last week, and then that also missed. Like, you can't get these guys right as soon as you think you have it figured out, which is very, very detrimental. And I'm not calling myself a sharp bettor. My unit's $20, but I am going to say that I like to think I do a bit more research than the general public does that is betting on these games, and it's hard as hell to get this right. Yeah, it's hard as hell to get this right.
It's really interesting, and it'll create a lot of discourse, I think, in the offseason, which is one of the reasons I'm not looking forward to the NFL season ending, but I think there's going to be a lot of discussion had, and hopefully we can get some interesting guests to talk about this stuff over the offseason, because it's going to be really interesting. It's such a different year, at least as we're sitting in it. Let's roll through these rest of these numbers. Money percentage on the over. This is week 14, 3-2. Sharp differential on the over, 2-1. I mean, nothing to say there. Money percentage on the under, 4-5. Sharp differential on the under, 5-6. Right around 500 across the board there. Moving to week 15, 2-2 on the money on the over, 0-2 sharp differential on the over. Money percentage on the under, 7-5. Sharp differential on the under, 7-7. Nothing too crazy there. Let's hit the major totals to date trend. So, public 122-95 through 15 weeks betting in the NFL. That is a 56% win percentage, and by far the best ATS metric there is. It's just insane. It's absolutely insane. 120. Yeah. They're 27 games above 500. 15 games in the season.
There's not a lot of words you can say to put that into perspective to people. You just have to hear it and be like, "Holy shit, that is what it is." It's incredible.
And I'll say it again because I love touting why we started Sharpen the Public, but it just goes to show why you cannot fade the public and why the narrative of that is so boring, in my opinion. There's so much data like that can be expressed and talk about when you look at these numbers. Like, if you look at the public betting above 65%, like, so when you see a side and it has more than 65% of the tickets, those sides are 7 games over 500. And if you just take everything out of account and like all the numbers that we look at, no one's going to expect that. People are going to just say, "Oh, wait, I know to fade the public. 85% of the tickets are on the side, go the other way." numbers like that are 10-10 ATS this season. You're going to consistently lose against Vegas if you do shit like that. So just I love touting us because I think it's so fascinating, but I do it a lot. So I'll try and get off my soapbox right now.
I think it's time to hunt some people down on Twitter and start to kill the narrative. And then also plug the podcast while we're doing it. So don't just check my regular tweets. Go ahead and start checking my reply section too, because I might start firing off some shit with this ammunition of the public being 27 games above 500.
Yeah, that goes to show, subscribe and comment on our YouTube now. It's important. get the narrative out there.
You're gonna plug shit. Yeah. Subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Money percentage through 15 weeks, 115 and 102. That's a 53% win percentage. We know from last year that they finished at 55%. So that's another reason why I think it's still going to keep creeping up there. But it's not to say that they're going to have, some awakening and go 15-0, 16-0 the rest of the way. But still interesting nonetheless. 13 games above 500. Sharp differential, ATS-wise, 110 and 107, Andy. They've also finished 55% win percentage in 2022, but at 51%, it's like, will they get there?
Not profitable.
Not profitable. No, not at all.
DJ, I have a better win percentage than the money in sharps. I'm at a 53.85% right now.
Look at you. You are a sharp.
No, I am the public. Actually, no, I'm worse than the public.
Yeah,
56%, dude.
What do you consider yourself? You're worse than the public, but better than the sharps.
I am Andy.
Follow me. The interesting thing there is that trend we've been talking about all year, 10 and 14% sharp differential between that range, 27 and 14 through 15 weeks. I kind of thought that was going to drop a bit, but clearly it hasn't. It's now a 64% win percentage all year. At some point, I think it was 70, but I mean, still, you don't expect it to stay at 70. So still at 64, still something I look for on Sundays. I still definitely need to do a better job of, like, when I put my article out last year, I was so much closer to kickoff, but now I try to get it out as early as possible so as many people can see it as possible. And then I kind of forget to look again before, at that 12:30 to 1 o'clock range and see where those special games fall into some of our special categories. And I need to be better about that. And hopefully I can be in the rest of the year, even though we only have 3 weeks left.
Yeah, but then playoffs too. I think there too, it was also a matter of giving out more leans and then activating them into actual plays 5 to 10 minutes before kickoff. And I haven't necessarily given out leans necessarily, but I have tried to, when I give out my plays, do it about 5 to 10, 15 minutes before kickoff. And I think that was also it. But to be fair, there are more eyeballs getting on your article now because you're posting it sooner than 30 minutes before kickoff.
So it's such a weird thing that we have to balance. But another disclaimer, I don't want it to be like assumed that we just purely associate this public betting data with outcomes of the NFL. We know that it's not indicative of obviously what's going to happen. We're just trying to influence, our takes and add another shot to the arsenal, right? By having this public betting data and giving out all the information as we can to all the listeners. So just a general disclaimer there.
It's to help arm your research, not to, or to maybe shy you away from some, not to just blindly go with the trends.
Exactly. Let's roll through it. 56 and 67 now for public betting on the over. And like I said, last year that was closer to 42-ish%, and now it's at a 46%. So we saw midway that they were terrible, and now you see them picking it back up on the over. Not to say that I think they're going to go positive by the end of the year on the over, but just keep that in mind. We're not in fade the public mode on totals. And then the under 54 and 39, which is a 58% win percentage. So that's still consistently hitting.
That's a awesome one. That's public on the under?
Yes, public on the under, 58% win percentage. And then specifically when they're not confident, they are 28 and 18 betting unders. So like below 60% of the tickets are on the under. Interesting there.
Yeah, that is fascinating. So that 50 to 60% range of bets when it's on the under is at 28 to 18.
Yeah, which is a 61% win percentage itself. So across all ranges, they're fairly okay. But like super high public on the under is actually like not positive. It's 4 and 5. But that's the worst range. So like maybe we're seeing, because, everyone's backing the unders and the unders are so low now, things are kind of flip-flopping to what we saw last year. So all of that is just kind of context to keep in mind as we talk about everything, and especially game to game. But let's finish it out. The rest of the trends that we talk about: money percentage on the under, 76 and 59. Andy's favorite, sharp differential on the under, 98 and 71 throughout this entire year, which is a 58% win percentage as well. Money percentage on the over, 38 and 45. Sharp differential on the over, 25 and 23 to date. Anything else, Andy?
No, I think you covered it. I think that's all really good stuff.
Yeah, I think that was a good discussion that we had there. I know it's a lot of numbers. I apologize. One day we'll figure out how to, get a thing on the website to make it more easy for everyone, but we are not quite there yet. Maybe over the off season. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I know I appreciate everyone reaching out to me on Twitter saying that, the format that we do now is better and things are improving, but always feedback is the best thing. So thank you guys for listening as always. I'm ready to start talking about the games, Andy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm ready to get this thing on the right track. I have been pissed poor since my 7-0 weekend in week 13. I've only given out 6 plays since then, so I'm ready to double that up. Come on.
I love it. Yeah, let's get it back. I've been kind of like teetering around 50-50. I went 3-3-1 last week, and I'm just like, I need that boost. And this is a slate that can get us there. We're gonna skip over the Saints-Rams Thursday night game and start with Bengals -1.5 in Pittsburgh. 62% of the bets on Jake Browning and the Bengals, and 58% of the money on the Steelers, giving the Steelers a large, sharp differential. I might say it, Andy. This is a Mike Tomlin spot. A home underdog in the division.
That is
AFC
fine.
North.
That is fine. I'll let you say it. I'll let you say it. You know what I want to say about this? This is not just a Mike Tomlin spot. This is a teaser spot. This is a teaser spot.
I love it.
37 total, plus 1.5 at home against a backup quarterback without Jamar Chase. I think T. Higgins is also on the injury report.
He is. I picked up Tyler Boyd in my fantasy league just in case I needed him. But this is obviously the Steelers team with Mitch Trubisky. This is not Kenny Pickett, nor is this whoever the fuck their other backup is. Oh no, is it? It's not even Mitch Trubisky. It's fucking that's
Mason Rudolph time.
It's Mason Rudolph time.
Yes,
yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. So the Steelers defense recently has been really like surprising to me. They have not been near as dominant as people expected them to be. PFF now has them at 20th overall in the NFL, which is just pretty abysmal. However, like you said, this is without Jamar Chase, without a lot of the offensive weapons that the Bengals have. Now they got to travel to Pittsburgh, AFC North road divisional game as a favorite. No chance I'd be on the Bengals here. I'm nervous to take the Steelers. Just because of how, you're backing Mason Rudolph and you're backing whatever question marks there are with him at quarterback. But it's either I like the Steelers in a teaser, but it's either Steelers or no bet for me here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna pocket that Steelers piece for a potential podcast teaser. I think too, like with how poor Kenny Pickett's performance has been this year, I don't necessarily think Mason Rudolph is going to do much worse. To be honest with you, I really don't. And there is still a chance. There is still an outside chance that he can play, I believe, unless he's officially been all the way ruled out. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm not completely out on the Steelers offense in the sense that it's going to decline because there's no Pickett, because there's no Trubisky. I think they're already shit. It's more of, do you think the Steelers defense is going to step up against a Bengals offense that leaves a lot to be desired, especially in a divisional matchup at home where these guys know each other very well. I love the spot for the under too. This just feels like a really, really, really low scoring gross game, but I don't really lean anything here, to be honest with you.
Well, here you go, Andy. I'll give you something to make it more than a lean. Steelers, after allowing 30 points or more under Mike Tomlin, 26-10-1 ATS, second best of any coach behind Bill Belichick. There's so many trends positively for the Steelers in this spot. The only thing is like you have to back Mason Rudolph. So I like the Steelers here, and I'll probably be on them come Sunday.
That's incredible.
Or Saturday,
23-10 ATS.
And 1. 23-10-1.
And 1. Yeah, you can hold the 1. Steelers are the one to side with. I definitely lean them Am I contradicting myself here? I lean Steelers, and I'm going to probably put them in a teaser. Let me just make it abundantly clear. I think I contradicted myself. Whatever.
Yeah, I would. We don't need to keep harping on this game, but I also love the fact that, I think, what did this open up at 2.5, and the money's kind of slammed the Steelers and it dropped it all the way to 1.5 in some spots now. I don't know if this will get low enough to a pick 'em. I love the Steelers as a dog here, and they're probably always going to be a good teaser spot.
For sure.
Bills minus 11.5 in Los Angeles. We can say our quintessential, this is not, this is not a road game for the Bills. They will likely have more fans there than Chargers fans. 55% of the bets on the Chargers, 88% of the money, giving them a 33% sharp differential. I'm not sure I can agree with that. I know the line's pretty large in this NFL, but the Bills are playing really, really good football. They just demolished the Cowboys, whereas the Chargers just let up 60 to the Raiders. So the Bills, it's not like they're not hungry either. They need to keep putting up points and winning games decisively. So yes, if anyone can really backdoor cover a team, it's this Chargers offense. But what has this Chargers offense done without Brandon Staley? Like, it's just a shit show.
Dude, this is a classic fire coach spot. There's no stats required. That is such a rusty analysis by me, but it really is. Plus 11.5 is absurd.
Yeah.
It is absurd. But I don't trust Easton Stick. And the Bills are starting to get in form. But it's also, out of all the top teams, like we always joke about it last year, right? We always joke about, oh yeah, you just like all the public does is just blindly take the best teams with massive spreads and just trust that it's going to work. That's why you see 88% of the money on the Chargers here at plus 11.5. It's because the money knows, no, even though the Bills have been phenomenal, they've been in form lately, they have to fly all the way across the country, home field advantage or not, and cover 12 points with everything wrong with the Chargers. This is still a professional football team. I lean the bigger spread, but I don't have the balls to take it.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get the other side. But of recency, it's like, yes, the Chargers did play on Thursday, so they got a little bit extra time. But the way the Bills looked against the Cowboys, it's like, what can stop them? They look so hot right now, and Josh Allen is playing at the top of his game. The Chargers defense is ass. Easton Stick sucks. Like this, it's just like, how many points can the Bills put up? Will they cover? Will there be a backdoor cover? I personally will probably be on the Bills, but I understand the Chargers' love. I get it, but 11.5.
You know what I do have a lot of interest in taking here? I really like the under, but the money being 96% on the over is pushing that total up from where it opened at 40.5, where it's up to 44. So yeah. I'm going to sit and wait to take that. But you are right that like the Chargers are abysmal and like it's going to take a lot for them to get on the board. I think if they have any hope of covering that spread, the game has to stay under. It's got to stay closer than we think. And with all the travel, with all the hype around the Bills, like this feels like the classic letdown spot where they're going to be able to, Vegas is going to be able to capitalize on everyone and their mother sucking off the Bills right now. But I feel like the under might be more of a safe option where the Bills fly in all the way from out of town. The Chargers have had 10 days of prep, and then the Bills kind of drop an egg against a game plan that's been sitting and festering for 10 days with the assistant coaching staff kind of bringing this one to a head. So I do like the under.
Yep. All right. I love your analysis. Maybe I'll lean under as well. Let's move to Lions -3 or -2.5 in some spots at the Vikings. This is or -3.5 in some spots, excuse me. 61% of the bets on the Vikings, 64% of the money, also on Minnesota. I like the Lions. I think this is a slightly they've been a bit undervalued recently after, especially, the loss to the Bears. They got Jared Goff back into the dome against the Broncos last week and put up 42. Who are the Vikings to only be 3-point underdogs after losing to the Bengals in Cincinnati with Nick Mullins at quarterback, right? I think this Lions team is far better. I think they need to show consistency in the division and just kind of lock things up there and not let anything crazy really happen. I think the Lions defense getting slightly healthier. CJ Gardner-Johnson looks like he's going to be playing, so I think this is a really tough spot for the Vikings to cover, despite them being at home. I just don't know if I can back Nick Mullins.
You want to hear an interesting stat between Jared Goff and Nick Mullins?
Yes.
Jared Goff rating, or his passer rating in a clean pocket, is 113.8 versus Nick Mullins' 92 flat. But their passer rating under pressure, Jared Goff's at a 64.4, so almost half of the passer rating under pressure compared to in a clean pocket. So testament to a great offensive line for the Lions. But Nick Mullins is at a 76, 12 points higher than Jared Goff under pressure. A better quarterback under pressure, if you will, DJ. I know that this Vikings offensive line is not going to hold up very well against the Detroit defensive front, where that defensive line has been really solid for them with Hutchinson, with Aquara, and Anzalone coming in at linebacker too. But I don't know if that necessarily means that I believe in Nick Mullins despite having the better passer rating under pressure than Jared Goff. I do really like this spot for Ty Chandler, though. He has been doing a really solid job filling in and getting the majority of the touches now at running back, which should have happened long ago. Alex Madison was horrible, has been horrible, and that is old news now. But in regards to picking a side, man, I don't want anything to do with this one because I totally agree. I think that the Lions are being a little undervalued here, but rightfully so. They've had a few weird spots where they've dropped the ball. They've been huge letdowns, and I don't really trust that defense unless we're talking about the defensive front because I think that their D-line and their linebackers are solid, but I don't really trust a lot of the other areas of that defense, and a lot of it shows it. Like their defense, according to PFF Power Ranks, is 26th. That's awful. So
yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying that the Vikings are going to cook them offensively, but I do think that there could be some surprises for the Vikings offense here. They do have Justin Jefferson all the way back, correct? So
yeah,
the wide receivers are full go. Addison had a really phenomenal week last week. And we've seen these backups really rely on TJ Hawkinson a lot too. He's been a godsend, and TJ Hawkinson revenge game, right? So I'm not touching this one from a side standpoint. The total is a bit interesting. It feels a little high, but I really don't want anything to do with this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I mean, the Lions, I think, can clinch the NFC North with a win. So I really think they're going to be motivated. And I don't like that the Lions now moving to 3.5. When it was 2.5, it was kind of like that. This is the play. But now it gets a bit iffy with the Lions having to go to Minnesota, albeit it's still a dome for Jared Goff to be okay in. And I think they're getting healthier day by day. So I definitely lean Lions. Moving to New York, Commanders +3 at the Jets. This is one of the ugliest games of the slate. The public split. They don't know what the fuck to do. One of the lowest bet games as of our recording here on Wednesday. 50% of the bets on the Jets, 56% of the money slightly on the Jets. If I had to go with a side, I'd go with the Jets, even though it's fucking Trevor Siemian. Sam Howell looked terrible last week, but like the Jets defense is for real. So it's like at the end of the day, how many people are really going to be betting on this game? I don't know. Do I want to bet on it? No. Like, will Sam Howell get absolutely demolished again? Probably. Like, it's just so ugly. This game sucks.
Yeah, neither of these teams can decide on who they want to play quarterback, with Zach Wilson getting some snaps, Trevor Siemian getting some snaps, Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett getting some snaps. Maybe the Jets will call up Tommy DeVito, see if they can get a spot start, see if his agent will be able to walk into the building and get him to play for both teams. We'll see what happens there. But I'm with you. I don't want anything to do with a side on this one whatsoever. I keep looking at the total, and it almost just feels like it's dropped from 40 to 37. Even then, it's just like, I don't know if I want to touch that either, to be honest with you. This is just there's not a lot else to be said. Brian Robinson's questionable for the Commanders too, so even then, you can't really guarantee that you're going to have your star running back helping you out against this phenomenal Jets defense. I don't want anything to do with either of these teams. This is one that I hope I don't have to see much, and I know the red zone probably won't make me watch much because there's not going to be a lot going on in this team.
Yeah, I mean, I also look to Ron Rivera in this spot. It's like he's fighting for his life. Like, is there a chance that he even stays? I don't think so. I think he's absolutely gone.
He's
absolutely gone.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell? what's the point for the Commanders? They traded away their best defensive players. They benched their most passing yards in the league quarterback last week because he was having the worst game of his year. So it's like a full stay away from me. Total seems high, but stay away from me.
Dude, Underdog isn't even offering markets for this game. They have lines set on like in their pick'em category for every single game, and like it's limited players right now to fill up more as the games get closer. But they don't have anything for this game because nobody knows.
It's absolutely disgusting. This game.
It's a liability to offer props for that game.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. All right, well, let's just move on. Packers -4.5 in Carolina. I'm curious to see how you feel about this one, Andy. Public loves the Packers, 69%, but the Panthers are loved by the money, 72%, 41% sharp differential currently here on Wednesday in favor of the Panthers. This line has moved a bit towards the Panthers as well. What do you think?
Well, seeing that why all the public is on it, I now know why Reddit gave me so many upvotes when I put this play out on Reddit the other day. I'm on the Packers -4.5. I think that they had such a successful run where they were 4-1 in December, and then it spilled over into the first week of December when they played the Chiefs at the game that Rick and I were able to go to. Awesome time. Love Lambeau. Love Green Bay. And then this last two slip-ups, everyone's already back out on the Packers. And for some reason, even though the Panthers didn't score an offensive touchdown last week, people are in on the Panthers, or at least the money is. I think the reason why, though, is this defense for the Panthers. It has been one of the unsung heroes of the NFL where nobody is talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
This defense of the Panthers has been pretty solid here down the stretch. A really good unit that matches up well against Jordan Love, against this really young receiving core. And I think that's what's going to make it interesting and make it a closer game than people anticipate. I just think that the turnovers from Bryce Young, where he has had a fumble in every single game the last 5 games, paired with how quick their drives are going to be, I feel like the Packers are going to have a lot of opportunity here to score the ball, even though they are coming on the road down to Charlotte. So I did end up taking the Packers. I have a full analysis built out on happyhoursports.net.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think I've been so out on the Panthers, but as of recently, they've kind of like shown signs of life. Yes, not offensively. However, they managed to beat the Falcons and keep them to a low-scoring game. So if you believe in the Packers to bounce back, I totally get it. Like 4.5 is something they should easily be able to do against a team that has looked like one of, if not the worst team in the NFL, especially with the improvements being made on the Packers side of the ball, like offensively, with the receivers kind of clicking and Jordan Love kind of finding his groove. But I'm not sure I can get there on the road. I feel like the Panthers just consistently play way better at home. If you look to their record, they covered against the Falcons at home. They got demolished by the Cowboys, but and the Colts, but they covered and won against the Texans at home. They play better at home. They pushed against the Saints at home, right? So I like them at home in this spot as a dog. Clearly, the money likes it too. I think what you said about the defense is also pretty important. However, I want to focus more on the Packers last game, and I really was leaning towards the Packers to bounce back after their loss to the Giants, and now they lose to the Bucs by 14 points, allowing Baker to really go nuclear, and what I think he had a perfect passer rating against the Packers. So I'm not sure they're going to get ready to bounce back in this spot on the road. They're probably going to win, but the fact that you get them more than a field goal, the Panthers that is, plus more than a field goal, I think that's definitely the spot. Although it's not like it's not my favorite bet.
Fade me.
Yeah.
Lock it in. Fade
it's
me.
not my favorite bet. It's not my favorite bet. I don't love the Panthers like that, It's just that's just how I feel.
The reason that pushed me over the edge is the defense part definitely scares me. Like, I love the under. I think that the Panthers defense is going to be solid. I know the Panthers offense isn't going to do shit. And I wish I put that under in, actually. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and lock me down. Everyone's slamming the over on this game for no reason. So give me under 37 official. I'm going to have a side and a total for the Panthers game, for my local game, and then for my boys with the Colts, I've got a side and a total. So whatever. That's 4 plays in the weekend for me with that defensive matchup, as well as how bad the Panthers offense is. I know the Packers defense has been pretty leaky compared to that Panthers defense, but I just don't believe in the Panthers offense at all.
I like it.
I just think that the Packers will get the opportunities on offense because of the turnovers for the Panthers, because of that offense not really being able to get going. So that is why I like the Packers in this one. But I'll go with the under 37 for a full unit here after kind of talking that one through with you.
Yeah, you're kind of banking on, if you take the Panthers here, you're kind of banking on Bryce Young to hold on the ball and not make it mistakes. And he's terrible under pressure, but luckily, the Packers aren't the best team at creating pressure, especially with, their secondary. So there's a lot of chances, I think, here the Panthers will have to cover, not to say that they will win. Moving to Browns minus 2.5 in Houston. This is an interesting one because we don't know the health status of CJ Stroud. I think people are betting it, assuming he's going to be playing, but I don't know his actual full injury report. I know it's I don't know if he's questionable or doubtful.
It's just the concussion protocol taking a while, unfortunately. Okay. So I hope that he powers through it, but I also hope that they don't rush him back too soon. We don't want to see a whole Tua situation from last year, right? So
absolutely not.
Wishing him all the best.
Yeah, public likes the Texans as is the money, 78% and 75%, although the Browns do get a slight sharp differential. And I think there's going to be just a little push and play here, like back and forth here with this line teetering at 3 points. I like the Texans here. I think especially if Stroud plays, they still have stuff to prove. The Browns are kind of surging, yet the Texans, coming off the loss to the Jets, barely beat the Titans last week. So I expected them to kind of demolish the Titans, but they held their own. That game went to overtime, I think. So I think this is a very important game for Houston to stay alive in the AFC. And I love them as a dog at home. It's like, yes, the Joe Flacco story is exciting, but it goes back to the Josh Dobbs stuff. It's like there's so much love and stuff, I think, for his, not Josh Dobbs' history, but Joe Flacco's history and what he's doing. It's got to run out at some point.
It's very interesting, too, when you look at this Browns team compared to the Jets team. Both defenses absolutely phenomenal, but we don't get nearly as much shit for the whole quarterback situation with the Browns compared to the Jets. One's the New York media versus the Cleveland media, right? But also it has gone a little bit better for them offensively, which is surprising. And, a little bit better. It's pretty easy to be a little bit better than 12 offensive touchdowns on the year for the New York Jets, right? But yeah. I really want to throw the Texans in as the second leg of the teaser piece. And then
I love the Texans.
What you're doing. Essentially what you're doing is just gambling the Stroud plays. But even then, I think this defense is so good, and Stroud's form has slipped slightly where he's not in that MVP conversation form we were talking about a few weeks ago, which was crazy to think about that a rookie had a chance at the MVP.
The loss to Tank Dell, I think, is important there, and Nico Collins has been hurt. So,
they're relying on Noah Brown, who, great receiver, by the way. I don't know what the Cowboys did, just to kind of, he looks great in that navy and red for Houston. But, yeah, I really want to do it, but I'm not going to, is my long-winded answer for this one.
If you want another reason,
Texans.
If you want another reason to, I'll just give you a stat here. Browns defense, we've talked about it, it's touted one of the best in the NFL, but they are the worst in the NFL on the road. 30.7 points allowed on the road. Highest in the NFL. 13.1 points per game allowed at home. Lowest in the NFL.
I think my Colts helped bring that average up. We hung like so many points on them in 40. That game and still managed to lose.
Lost.
Yeah.
Still lost. So I like the Texans, especially, even if, hopefully Stroud will play.
Should I do it then? Should I do it?
We got games to talk about.
Yeah, we do. I'll sit and wait.
All right, Colts +1 in Atlanta. Andy, your Colts. This is interesting because the lines move so much. They started out as favorites, right? Now are now dogs. I think the Falcons started out at like 2.5 or 3 point underdogs, and now are favored. So 68% of the bets on the Falcons, 82% of the money.
Colts were -1.5 when the line opened up on Sunday night, and now they've moved to +1. I don't get it. I don't get it when people are knee-jerk reacting to some of these lines and going off some of the recent form, right? They're going off the recent form with the Bills spread. They're -11.5. They're going off recent form with the Panthers. The Panthers probably would have been +6.5 or +7 if they did not win that game, and the Packers weren't shit the last two games. If the Packers were still on that win streak, they'd probably be a touchdown favorite. But we're not going with the Falcons. Just lost
to the Panthers and are now
Panthers, and they're favored against the Colts, who are 8-6. They're in the playoff picture. But Michael Pittman had a nasty hit, which the people on Twitter that said to me that Pittsburgh guy was unintentional. He was not leading with his head. You guys also need to you guys need to see the same doctor that Pittman's seeing right now for his concussion, because you also might be suffering from a concussion. So I don't know what the hell you're watching, and I think that's I'm offended. But I have the Colts here in my early best bets, -1.5. I also have the over in this one, because the Colts cannot stop anybody defensively. They also are horrible against the run. I think if you want to have a little buy low on Bijan and take a look at some of his props as they release, I think that's a smart idea after that he only had 7 carries last week, which is egregious. Arthur Smith has got to go.
Yeah,
I know they're waiting until the
terrible
end of the season, but that guy is he's not very bright, in my opinion. Just because he looks like Warren Sharp doesn't mean he can coach like Warren Sharp. So I elaborated a lot on my article. I don't want to belabor the point. I really encourage y'all to take a look at that, because I have a lot more information in that than I could spit out to you all on this podcast. But I got the Colts as well as the over.
The injury situation for Indy worries me. I like that they're dogs now. I think that's great. I don't see why the Falcons should be favored against anyone with the Heineke, coming in for Desmond Ridder. I think Heineke's better than Desmond Ridder. We've been kind of talking about that all season, but who knows what the Arthur Smith is doing there in Atlanta. From a defensive standpoint, like you mentioned, the Bijan stuff, there's so many questions going on with Atlanta, and the Colts getting Grover Stewart back over the last couple of weeks has been huge for your guys' defense. You guys were one of the worst teams in the NFL against the run and did very well holding Pittsburgh and Cincinnati to not so great run performances. So I think that's great for them. Again, the injury situation's worrisome for Indianapolis, but it really feels that like Shane Steichen is doing exactly what he needs to do to get you guys to get wins. He's getting Gardner in positions that he's comfortable in. I'm nervous to see where you guys, or I'm excited, I should say, to see how you guys perform with Richardson back next year, because this offense is cooking with Shane Steichen behind the helm. And it's almost like they don't even need anyone. They just need Gardner and guys that can catch the ball. So this Falcons defense isn't amazing. I mean, Jesse Bates is having a phenomenal year, but at the end of the day, it's Taylor Heineke. So
yeah, Zach Moss got hurt too, and then we ended up splitting the leading 2 rushers between Trey Sermon, who we just picked up, and then Tyler Goodson. I don't know who Tyler Goodson is, but he had 11 carries last week. These guys combined for 157 rushing yards. So we're talking about guys that were recently on the waivers are cooking, running the ball for this Colts offense. It's a testament to the how good the offensive line is for us when healthy. We've known that about the Colts, and it had been a struggle for them to stay healthy, but of course, the year that they stay healthy, then the quarterback goes down. So can't get everything right with this franchise, unfortunately. But I do really love them in this spot against the Falcons. This is the classic me riding with the Colts this year versus the me fading the Falcons this year, because the Falcons are shit, dude. They're 4-10 ATS.
Yeah,
the Colts
they're one
are
of the
a league
worst
best
teams,
9-5 ATS. The Colts are also the best team in the league to the over. So hey, where's back in trends over here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see what the Falcons are terrible ATS, and the public hates to back them. So maybe that's a good sign that they are on them this time. They're 2-1 when the public backs the Falcons ATS, but I think this is a very interesting situation, and maybe those trends don't really stack up for this game. Seahawks -2.5 in Tennessee. Andy, what am I going to say? What am I going to say?
Please don't. Please don't. Seahawks are bad, though.
Is a home dog. The Seahawks just had the most emotional win of the season, beating the Eagles in Seattle on a final drive with Drew Lock. Now they have a short week to go play Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. This is a horrible spot for Seattle, and it's not like I have the most information to back it up. The Titans offense looks so dry.
It's just Vrabel as a dog.
Hey.
Dude, the first half of the season, it was Baker. It was just, let's side with Baker. Second half of the season, it's Vrabel as a dog.
I think it's a spot play more so because of the Seahawks on a short week after a large emotional win. It's like there's a reason this number is not going to 3.5 or 3. I'm sorry. 54% of the bets on the Titans, 56% of the money on the Seahawks. Right now, the money's coming in on Seattle, but I think as we get closer to Sunday, this is going to swiftly move towards the Titans, and we might even see the number move to 2 or 1.5.
To back to your point, Tennessee as a home underdog this season, 3-1. Tennessee as an underdog this season, 5-6. Tennessee at home this season, 4-2. So it doesn't really matter if they're a dog or not. They are just really solid at home. I'm not going to bet this game. Why would I bet this game? Should I tease it, DJ? You getting an extra 6 points? Well,
I don't hate it.
Security.
I don't hate it. That's for sure. I think there's a lot of question marks here. Obviously, they don't know if I don't think Will Levis is going to play, but they don't know if it's going to be Tannehill or Malik Willis. So I would definitely wait.
I'm staying away from this game regardless of what happens. I think the Seahawks thing was really strange that Geno was active and then Drew Lock played and got the win.
Yeah,
I found that to be very, very strange. But yeah, I'm staying away. I don't think the Seahawks have it in them to get more magic done. I think it will be an emotional letdown spot, but I don't have the balls to take Tennessee, even though they've been solid. We'll see. Maybe around Sunday I'll be looking for something and I'll play. It's Christmas Eve, man. I mean, I'll probably play something.
Despite their losses, the Titans have really just been playing teams close. They lost to the Texans by 3. They beat the Dolphins by 1. They lost to you guys by 3. They beat the Panthers by 7. Like these are they're staying in games, and I that's just what Vrabel does, and that's why he's so good as an underdog. So do the Titans win? Not so sure. I just think this is a very difficult spot on a short week. It's a massive letdown spot. It's just that simple. Jags +1 in Tampa Bay. This is the middle part of the slate where it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Jags, 59% of the bets, 60% of the money. The question mark is will Trevor Lawrence play? That's a huge thing. And you get Baker off the best game of his career. And now the Jags, who at one point everyone just assumed they were going to win the AFC South, now are underdogs in Tampa Bay. I think this is a very difficult spot for Tampa Bay. I think they're far overvalued in this spot, even though they're at home. I'm not sure they should be getting one to this Jaguars team. Yes, if you look to the Monday night game against the Ravens, so much did not go the Jags' way, and that's why you see a lot of the bets and money on them in this spot, because everyone's like, this should not have been happening. So I want to lean Jags. What do you see?
I don't want to play anything until we know what's happening with Lawrence, to be honest with you. So I don't really have a ton to give out on this game in particular. I can't figure out the Bucs either, for the life of me, man. I really can't. At one moment, Baker looks phenomenal, and the next he looks like shit. It's the same Baker that we had in Cleveland, dude. He shows flashes of like, oh my God, this is why he was the number 1 pick. And then the rest, but they're flashes. The rest of the time, it's just very mid or very underperforming. So you don't know what version of him you're going to get. You don't know who's quarterbacking the Jags. This is a stay away from me until there's more certainties, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just like two completely different sides right now. The Jags have lost 3 straight. The Bucs have won 3 straight. Obviously, this is in Jacksonville, which I think is a big thing. But if Lawrence doesn't play, I'm completely out. So, a really difficult game, honestly, to cap in my opinion. But maybe we'll get a good one. Hopefully, I want the Jags. I just want the Jags to make the playoffs and win the South. So, who knows?
I don't.
I know you don't. Moving to the game one of the best games of Sunday, probably the best game of Sunday. Dallas Cowboys going to Miami to play the Dolphins. 51% of the bets on the Dolphins, kind of split. 74% of the money on Dallas. Very, very interesting that so many people love Dallas here. Obviously you want to back, I guess the money's backing them because they're going to be undervalued after coming off a massive loss to the Bills. And there's Tyreek Hill questions for the Dolphins. I genuinely think he's going to play. I don't really know the status of his injury, but with everything that's going on,
my fantasy team needs it.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, in my fantasy league as well. I know he wants to get to 2,000 yards. I don't think he's going to let something like this keep him out for more than one game. So That's just my personal opinion. Moving to game script wise, the Dolphins are 4-1 in their last 5, coming off a 30-0 rout of the Jets. I think the Cowboys are very, very hungry, and that's one of the reasons I think the money is smacking Dallas. Obviously, they have something to prove after beating the Eagles, and it's been this whole discussion on the Cowboys of like, can they beat the good teams? And even the Eagles now are being touted as like a questionable team, and then they go to lose and get destroyed by the Bills. Now they got to go into Miami and play the Dolphins. So I understand that there's like a big bounce back mentality here. I think the discourse around, Dallas camp and probably their media is like, we have to win this game. This is a must win. Whereas on the Jets or the Dolphins side, they just beat the Jets 30-0, and no one's kind of like, this is a must win game. So I think that's why you see so much money on the Cowboys. But if Tyreek Hill plays, I don't think anyone can keep up with the Miami offense.
DJ, I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah.
Can you name any team? Oh, I already spoiled it. I already spoiled the question. Can you name all the teams that the Dolphins have beat that have had a winning record this season?
The Bills.
No, they lost to the Bills 48-20. They also lost to the Eagles 31-17. They also,
okay.
They also lost to the Chiefs 21-14. And of course, they have that Titans loss. They haven't beaten anybody with a record of over 500 this season. And now they are favored against a Dallas team that before last week's game, everyone was like, oh my God, the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Have they all forgotten about the Niners? But that is what Cowboys media hype will do to you. According to PFF, the Dolphins had the 30th strength of schedule. Now, obviously, that stat is a little interesting. You probably see different numbers on different sites. People measure it in different ways, all of that. But 30th is pretty damn low. The other thing here is that I really believe in this Dallas defense. I think that Dak is having an awesome season, obviously, right? That's why his name's been thrown around at the top of the MVP conversation with Brock Purdy. I hope Purdy wins it. I think he deserves the most. But I'm more concerned about Dak's level of play than I am with the defense, because I think the defense is going to be great against this Dolphins offense. And the reason why, or one of the key reasons why, is we're going to go back to the passer rating stuff. So Tua in a clean pocket, 117.5 passer rating this season. Tua under pressure, 60.1. 60.1 for Tua, who runs the best offense in the NFL. And that's not going to, he's going to be having a lot of that under pressure situation, because the left guard, the center, the right guard, all of them are below a 55 overall rating according to PFF. They're going against one of the best defensive fronts and are going to have nightmares against Micah Parsons. They're going to have nightmares against Lawrence. There's just so many mismatches that I see here where you got Waddle up against Gilmore, who's had a bit of a resurgence. Gilmore was not that great with the Colts last year, but looks a lot better with the Cowboys now. Tyreek, obviously a question mark. He'll draw the matchup with Bland if he does play, or with Gilmore. Their corners are awesome. I'm with you that I think Tyreek is like, you can put anybody on him and he will cook them. He will find his. But I don't think he's going to find it often enough with how good this Cowboys defense is and how poor Tua is under pressure, because I think he's going to be under pressure almost the whole time. Like, they should be rushing all 6 guys.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think the Cowboys defense is something that the Dolphins are going to struggle with, because their pass rush is so dominant, and they do have a good secondary to back it up. So I look to like the Dolphins at home. They've been very good at home this year. They've won all but one game, and the loss came against the Titans. So it's a question mark of what their offense can be. Like, I think they can hold to anyone in a shootout. It's not like their defense is going to stop the Cowboys. I think Dak and the offense is going to really have a nice resurgence after coming against the Bills defense, where now they can kind of have more freedom and get things done against a porous Dolphins defense. So
yeah, that's where I stand. So I'm going with Cowboys money line plus 105 official play. You can find that on ESPN bets and Superbook, according to our partner BetStamp. If you have not used BetStamp yet to shop around for the best available line, I highly advise it. Whenever I do podcast recordings like this with DJ, with Rick, I'm always have my BetStamp open, just scrolling through the markets, making sure that I'm getting the best line to give out to you all, and with hopes that line kind of stays near where it is so that when the recording comes out, you guys can also shop for the best line. But why wait for me to say it? Why not shop for yourself and find the best line if the line that I gave you moves? So definitely download BetStamp for that purpose. It's awesome. It's great for bet tracking too. I find it to be a lot less laggy than Action Network. And when you sign up, make sure to use code HAPPY to make sure that you let them know that we sent you. That's code HAPPY. We don't get anything for that. It's just a product that we believe in, and that's why we partnered up with them. We feel like BetStamp's a really solid partner for us. So, I found both those on there, and that's how I got Cowboys plus 105 on the money line. So my fifth play of the weekend. Let's go.
I might throw the Cowboys in a teaser, despite the total being 50. I don't see them getting blown out against Miami after getting blown out to the Bills, but we'll see. We'll see what happens come Sunday. Let's finish out the last two games here on Sunday. Cardinals plus 4.5 in Chicago. The Cardinals coming off a fairly decent performance, in my opinion, against the Niners last week, albeit they didn't win, nor did they come close to winning. If you watch the game was a lot closer than the scoreline explains. 45-29, they lost, but there was a lot of opportunities that they had to make some plays that they didn't execute, where like pick off Brock Purdy or make some tackles, and that's exactly what the Niners will do to you. They'll take advantage of your mistakes, and a missed tackle, Debo and Brandon Ayuk can go for 60 extra yards. So it's like very small margins of error against the Niners. However, now they play Chicago, and I just think 4.5, 5 points is too much. I don't really believe in this Bears team anymore. There was a point where I did, but over the last, after the loss to Cleveland, I'm not sure I can get there. I think the city of Chicago is completely out on Justin Fields. They don't really believe in him anymore, and I'm kind of in the same boat.
I don't know. I disagree about the city of Chicago. From the Bears fans I've talked to, some of them still want Fields around, albeit some of the Bears fans I know are also Ohio State fans, so it's a bit of a double whammy there. But
I've heard
that the actual franchise, they say the franchise says that they're not out on Eberflus or Fields. That means they're out. So you can't go into next season with the number one picks in the Panthers and be like, yeah, we're going to trade it. Unless they trade out of it and get like a massive package, but
not in this quarterback draft.
Yes, I'm with you. All this stuff about Caleb Williams is just because there were people are trying to find negative stuff to say. Like they're finding stuff that are that are not actually tangible things to give him shit for. Wouldn't you rather keep building your franchise on the new rookie quarterback on a rookie deal for the next 4 years compared to having to pay Justin Fields and then you're still gambling? Is it going to work out? Is it not? With all the quarterbacks that have gone down this year and all the quarterbacks that are in question, there will be a trade market for Justin Fields, I assure you. I don't know if there will be first-round picks involved, but there will be a trade market for him, for sure.
Yeah. The Cardinals currently sit 63% of the bets. Bears have 63% of that money, 26% of the sharp differential towards Chicago. Not much to say, really, like game-wise. Like both of these teams are bottom tier of the league. The Chicago defense has significantly improved since they added Sweat. And not to say that, this is Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray will shine, and I really think the Cardinals have, albeit they haven't won a lot of games, they're still 3-7. They've played teams really close. They're 7-7 ATS. They're a good team, and they just haven't really had that opportunity to take the next step. And maybe they're losing games on purpose. Who the fuck knows? I like them anything less than a touchdown here, or a field goal, excuse me, as dogs.
I lean Cardinals, but I'm probably not going to ultimately bet this. I do like your analysis on this, though, for sure.
Yeah, it's just like they played the Niners really close, and they always do that. And they, on offense, they've been putting up points. It's just their defense has been pretty lacking. Like if you look to they let up 45. They held the Steelers to 10, 37 to the Rams, 21 to the Texans, and then 25 or 23 to the Falcons. So like their defense has been pretty shit. But if you go to the Bears can't really score. unless they're playing anyone in the NFC North. Like they barely beat the Panthers and then lost to the Browns. So you take the Bears out of the North, and they play terribly, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen here. Do I want to bet it now? Yeah, give it to me. Give me Cardinals plus 4.5.
Yes, dude, let's go.
I haven't had a podcast play in a while.
You have not, and that's why I'm so fucking fired up.
It's also against the Sharps. I think as the week goes on, this line
piss on the Sharps. They're having a horrible season. Piss on the Sharps.
True. Yeah, we're back in the public. Moving to
let me do this one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
These are two of my absolutely most favorite teams in the world here. We've got the New England never cheated before Patriots at plus 6.5, taking on the Denver never have been shit before Broncos. The public are 83% on the Broncos, 64% of the money. So the Patriots have a 19% sharp on the spread, which is hilarious. This total, DJ, it opened up at 41. This is probably over the summer. I doubt that the total actually opened up this high, but that is what Action Network's telling us right now. The total is now at 34.5. You know why? Because they're going to have to run the ball every single play so that everyone can get back home and get to bed before Santa gives out the presents.
Yeah. Total open at 36, by the way.
Yes. So the reason this game is not, like the reason this is the Sunday Night Football game is the Christmas part of it, but also NBC has both the Saturday games. The first one's on NBC and then the next one's on Peacock, I believe. So you have to put a really bad game in the Sunday night slate when Santa's coming. Come on. I don't know from a side standpoint which way I want to go. Like everything tells me I wanted to take the Broncos here at minus 6.5, or do I go as far as taking the under for like the night before Christmas game? This is what I'm going to do, DJ.
Oh,
with the total this low,
you're cooking up a plan.
With the Patriots have to keep losing. The Patriots have to keep losing because the Commanders are sitting there at 4-10. The Cardinals are sitting there at 3-11. If the Patriots want to get Drake May, they cannot win this game, and it's in Denver. So I guess 2 hours difference. They can run a little bit. They can take their time a little bit more because Santa will be there a little bit later. We're gonna throw Broncos in as the second leg of the teaser. Is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get them down to minus half a point on a 34.5 total as the home team just to win. And that is what we are going to pair with the Steelers for the Saturday game that NBC decided, hey, fuck the Sunday night game. Give me the Bengals and Steelers backup quarterback bowl and the Bills and Chargers overvalued Bills, undervalued Chargers bowl. So that's the way I'm going on this one. Can't believe I'm betting on the Broncos. They have been in a bit of a rut, but this will be a good bounce back spot for them. And the Patriots have to lose. I know that it's a little bit harder to tank in the NFL than it is in the NBA, but it is happening, folks. The Patriots have to lose this game.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think about ways how I can get behind the Patriots here because, like, I can't get there. I can't get there. I can't get there. I've been this way on the Pats all season. It feels like they're 3-10 and 1 ATS. Sadly, they've been in such good spots, like positionally, like playing against teams in certain spots, and now 6.5 in Denver on Sunday night. Yes, on Christmas. I think Bill Belichick finds a way to get things done against this Broncos offense, but their offense has been absolutely abysmal as of late. I mean, yes, they put up 17 points against the Chiefs, but they put up 0 against the Chargers. They put up 7 against the Giants, 6 against the Colts. It's like, and this Broncos defense is only improving week to week. So I'm with you. I think a teaser is a great spot for Denver. I mean, I might put them in a teaser that I come up with. I'll just end it. I think there's a reason this number's not getting to 7, being at 6.5 with a lot of the money moving towards the Patriots. So it's really ugly otherwise.
Yeah, if you don't have the appetite for teasing the Steelers, but you still want to tease the Broncos, and you don't mind putting in a little future, I love teasing up Alabama up to plus 8.5 against Michigan in the college football playoff. I've just silently been doing that and putting like teasing NFL games week by week. So I'm gonna have like a stupid amount of money on Alabama plus 7.5 or plus 8.5 by the time that game kicks off on New Year's Day, just because I keep teasing random shit with Alabama and it's been working out. But that's one I'm gonna give out now, just because I will probably won't, or no, I guess I will be able to next week as well. But if you don't like the Steelers, then just pair it with Bama, baby, because I think they're gonna beat Michigan outright. But anyways, now we're getting to college football talk.
Yeah, we've got a lot of college football content on the website too. You should definitely check that out if you have any interest in any of the bowl games. But sticking to the NFL, let's move to Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, Andy. We're waking up, opening our presents, getting to be with our family. I will actually be at the Eagles-Giants game on Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which will be fun. But Monday morning, we'll be opening presents, happening our family time. And then we get to watch Raiders at Chiefs. Plus 10 are the Raiders, 58% of the bets on the Chiefs, and 73% of the money. Also on Kansas City. I want to be on the Raiders here, Andy. I just think this is a very good spot for them after the Chiefs have been playing really bad football. You know, you got the whole Mahomes as a large favorite discussion happening here. Obviously, the Raiders just put up 60, and now they're 10-point favorites or underdogs. Divisional matchup. It feels like anytime, the Chiefs get a divisional matchup, they can end up covering, or they go down at the end of the game and, win the game but don't cover. So what do you see here?
Kansas City are 3-3 as the home team this season. They
ATS
are also, ATS. ATS. They're also 3-3 as the home favorite because they've been a favorite in every single home game. They're 7-6 as a favorite this season. So there's not a lot to take away from their trends ATS here. The Raiders, on the other hand, they sit at 2-4 as the away team, and they are also 3-4-1 as the underdog. Not a lot of trends to take away from ATS for this one, and I don't have a ton to give from an insights perspective because I really feel like this Raiders defense has stepped up a notch recently. They've been a little bit more impressive than I anticipated. I do see that there are some weaknesses in the middle of the defensive line. I think their defensive ends are spectacular with Kuntz and Crosby, but the rest of that defense, has definitely stepped up. It's just a game of which version of the Chiefs are we going to get? Like, are there going to be guys that step up at receiver, or are we going to get the historic number of drops that we're seeing from these Chiefs receivers? Rashee Rice has been phenomenal. Yeah. Rashee Rice has been really solid for these guys. And Kelsey, it depends, I guess, if Taylor swept over the night before or not. I don't know if that's like what's impacting his play or what's going on with that. But I'll be betting this one because it's Christmas morning, but I don't know yet what the play is.
Yeah, I think it's Raiders or nothing for me. I don't know if anyone can really say that they are excited to back the Chiefs in this spot, especially like you said, given the wide receiver issues with Mahomes not really being good as a favorite historically, and now it's a divisional game. It's 10 points for a team that just scored 60, and the number kind of scares me. It's like, why is this 10 points? It doesn't feel like the Chiefs they're getting 10 because it's their name, but they really haven't played that great of football recently. They only beat the Pats by 10 in New England. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Packers. So, yes, they played earlier in the season, and they beat the Raiders at home by 9 or by 14, and they were 9-point favorites. And now they're at home and 10-point favorites. The line just feels weird. And in that game, that I think the Raiders got out to like a 14-0 start against the Chiefs. So, yes, it's Aiden O'Connell, and you're backing a lot of question marks for the Raiders, but Josh Jacobs is expected to be healthy, I think, right? He's expected to play.
Yeah,
so
I believe so.
I just think this is a good spot number-wise for the Raiders, and it's likely only going to move the other way. I don't think it goes to 10.5. It probably goes to 9.5.
Yeah, I don't have anything on this one right now. It just feels like this Chiefs team is just kind of sleepwalking through games. Is honestly what it feels like. And when it's like that, you don't know what version of them you're going to get. And this game, this matchup with Mahomes, the quarterback, for the last several years now has been a weird one where I just feel like divisionally these guys tend to split or play each other a little bit closer than you think. Yeah. At least in one of the games every year.
No, I completely agree. I have that same feeling, and that was a point I was going to have or bring up, but I didn't because the Raiders team is so different now with McDaniels gone and O'Connell a quarterback and everything. But yeah, it's such a weird spot, and it's not. I think not to beat a dead horse, but the Chiefs here are like they're not the Chiefs of old. Their offense is not nearly as potent as they have been over the last several years, and it's their defense that's holding them afloat. But I don't know if the market's out so much on the defense, but even the Patriots scored 17 against them last week. And now the number and the spread in this are implying that the Raiders are going to score 16 points, and that's less than the Patriots scored last week. So I don't know. It's tough. It's a weird line, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Moving to Giants plus 11.5 in Philadelphia. Like I said, I'll be at this game. 82% of the bets on the Birds, 62% of the money on Philly, giving Tommy DeVito and the Giants a 20% sharp differential. At the end of the day, it's a lot of points. And the Eagles, it's like, who are the Eagles to be 12-point favorites to anyone after the last 3 games that they've played? But, I mean, it is Tommy DeVito and the Giants. Let's be real. Like, the Eagles this is a game where they need to show their dominance again. And they need to prove to everyone, like, hey, we're still a team that can win the Super Bowl, because no one really thinks that they are that. I think injury-wise, we've been pretty brutally injured. Dallas Goedert's finally back and healthy, though, and our defense is figuring things out, but luckily they get to face Tommy DeVito and the Giants here. In my opinion, it's either Eagles or nothing, and the 11-point, 12-point spread is a lot. What do you see?
Eagles are 3-1-1 as a home favorite, DJ. They're one of the best teams as favorites this season, too, just in general.
Yes.
So they had 3 in a row. It was like straight-up losses, also ATS losses. The losses were ugly, dude. Like, we just got to say what it was. The San Fran loss was ugly. The Dallas loss was ugly. The Seattle loss was 100%. Ugly, even though it was only 3 points. It should not have happened. Now 100%. It's time to bounce back. This is your Christmas present, DJ. This is your Christmas present as a Eagles bounce back, because you guys have the easiest schedule in the world to end the season. You have the Giants, Arizona, and Giants again to end the season.
Well,
you at least can get a little bit of a motivation. Yeah.
We've had the hardest schedule to date.
According to what metric,
PFF says number one. PFF says number one. Hardest. We played the Cowboys twice, obviously. We played the Bills. We played the Niners. We played the Seahawks. We played the Dolphins. Played the Rams. Played the Bucks.
Which one of those teams are good? That whole first half of the schedule is all
the Niners, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, Miami. Come on.
Yeah, Miami, Dallas, Buffalo, San Fran, Dallas, all tough. I mean, I'm taking Eagles -12. Lock it in. I'm serious. I'm serious. I couldn't be more serious.
I do think they blow them out.
Not going any other way. They're going to beat the shit out of the Giants.
The issue for the Eagles as of late has been our defense. We can't stop fucking anyone. And now we get Tommy DeVito. And if there's anyone we can stop, it's fucking Tommy DeVito. I was listening to a podcast.
We got to turn that into a clip when you guys lose.
He needs to not play this game, and he needs to go. Start a pizza shop, is what they said in New Jersey, and just live off the hype that he had. Because if he gets demolished here, all the Tommy DeVito hype goes out the window, and that's probably what's going to happen here.
I hope his agent gets some more big gigs for how hilarious he's been. I think the agent's going to be the big winner out of this, not Tommy DeVito, where he might be able to parlay this into something else. If not, is like getting some other gigs, managing other players, then hopefully some type of media or podcast gig, because it's hilarious that he's leaned into it so much that he's dressing up in those outfits. If he's actually seriously wearing that and not being ironic about it, then that guy's a moron. But I think they all know it's all a shtick at this point. He's trying to market himself and be funny. So I hope that it works out for him, because I do find it to be pretty funny.
I lean Eagles as well, but I'll hold off now.
I took him official. -12, dude. There's only one way this goes, and it's an Eagles beating the piss out of the Giants. Oh, sorry, you're giving me a -11.5. Let me just check the trusty old bet stamp here to make sure I'm not missing out on anything.
I think the Eagles put up 35 points. It's supposed to be a nice day, too.
-11.5.
We get to finish off with a beautiful, beautiful Monday night, Christmas game. Probably the best of the week if you discount the Cowboys Dolphins. I think this is probably going to be the best game of the week. Ravens plus 5.5 in San Francisco. A battle of two of the top teams in the AFC and NFC. And 5.5 seems like a lot. I mean, I want to lean Ravens. I think it is clear that the Niners, are the best team in the NFL. And the question becomes, has the market caught up to them or has it not? And in my opinion, I don't think they've played a team that's quite as good defensively as the Ravens are. They've played the Eagles, obviously, who have been pretty terrible defensively. They played the Browns, and the Niners actually lost to the Browns in Cleveland. So obviously that was during the stretch where Brock Purdy and people were getting hurt. So the question, like I said, becomes: has the market caught up to this team, or are they just 7 points better than everyone? They get the home field advantage here. However, Lamar as an underdog is historically a very good bet to take. And I don't know. I don't know if it's my bias towards not liking the Niners, or if it's my love for the Ravens this year. But I really, really like the Ravens in the spot. Lamar is 8-5 straight up and 11-2 ATS as an underdog in his career.
I'm so excited to watch this game.
It's very telling.
Yeah.
The big saw is very telling.
I'm so excited to watch this game that truthfully I haven't spent a lot of time previewing it, where I think I'd be doing a disservice to the listeners if I tried to really dissect it here. We've got the Super Bowl rematch, which I think is a really awesome element 10 years after the fact, which is really cool. We've also got, to your point, one of the best. It will be the best defense. If you think the Ravens' defense is better than Dallas's defense, which I do, then it is the best defense that the Niners have gone up against all season. They did put up 42 on that Dallas defense early October, and then the only time they had that slip up was right after that game when they lost to Cleveland, lost to Minnesota, lost to Cincinnati. I guess you could say that Cleveland's the best defense they played. Right?
Yeah. Because they played Cleveland in that game.
They lost 17-19, but they were without Debo. They were also without what's his face on the offensive line,
Trent Williams.
Yeah, without Trent Williams in that game, so they're a little bit more predictable offensively. They've got all their weapons for this one.
I forgot to mention it too. The public is on the Niners right now, 56%. The Ravens have the money, 57%.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to go with like an underdog. I'm probably just going to go with like an underdog lineup or something to keep you entertained. I don't think I'm going to really pick a side here. I'm just going to enjoy and try to feed off of some of the matchups if there are any to really feed off of. Maybe this is kind of with two phenomenal defenses, an under scenario. Everyone's slamming the over because it's two of the best teams in the NFL. It's the NFC's best team versus the AFC's best team. So I think that's why everyone's slamming the over. Maybe the play's the under.
Both teams love to run the ball. Both teams love to run the ball. No Keaton Mitchell, I think, is huge.
Yeah, the Ravens are just making up names at running back now of who they're going to field now that Keaton Mitchell's out. So
yeah,
it will be interesting. I
it's going to be such
wait
a fun
to watch
game.
this one.
Yeah, I'm glad this one's Christmas night.
You get the Eagles win and cover as your Christmas present. I get the present of getting to watch this game while you find your way home after the Eagles game. So I can't wait, but it is a really solid Christmas slate and Christmas Eve slate, and I love how the games are spaced out this weekend. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, this is gonna be such a fun one to end the slate with. I think books are having a really hard time with this Niners team because they've been incredibly dominant. Now they have to give 5.5 points to the best team in the AFC, and it's like anything lower would be crazy. It feels like this should be like 3.5, but then everyone would just be slamming the Niners. So it's like, I think you just have to take that value with the Ravens here. I think their offense, while not as good as the Niners, is so efficient, and Lamar has been playing at an incredible rate this year at just converting third downs, moving the ball when he needs to with his legs. He doesn't have the best wide receiver core in the NFL like Brock Purdy does, so he managed to get things done. And then this Ravens defense is going to be so hungry to stop the best team in the league. So I think they find a way to cover, maybe even stomp them and win the money line, plus 180.
I agree. The receiving core is not that great. However, Likely has been a huge revelation for this team. Like, he could start to rival. I don't think this is really a hot take. Like, he can start to rival Mark Andrews, or they figure out a way to incorporate both of them. But he's really stepped up with the absence of Mark Andrews. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a phenomenal wide receiver in this league. The way he runs, the way he moves, the way he's able to find space, I think he's super talented, and that was why his draft stock rose up so much as the draft got closer, and he was a name that you heard was potentially going to rise up until he ended up just getting drafted in that slew of 4 wide receivers in a row. Again, I'm going to wait to take a sign on this one. I do lean the under, though, after we kind of talked about that a little bit more. 2 great defenses.
91%
both love to run the
public.
ball. There's going to be a lot of feeling each other out as well, because they know what's on the line here, not just with who's the top dog of the AFC and NFC, not just the Super Bowl rematch, also seeding in their respective conferences. There's a lot on the line for both these guys.
Yeah, 91% of the public and 94% of the money on the over.
What are we doing? And that's one where you want to wait as well, because everyone's already slamming the over, it's going to keep going up. And you've got plenty of time for this total to rise, and then just to swoop in and slam the under. Or just wait and see if there's some resistance. There could be some sharps out there that say, all right, the number's too high, and then they come in and knock the total back down. So just one to monitor for sure, but it's going to be an awesome game.
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Andy. It's going to be such a fun week. Glad I could do this here with you again. Glad we can get back on track here, recording Sharpen the Public. As always, thank you guys for listening and watching on YouTube. We appreciate all your support. As always, we're here every week breaking down the public betting trends, public betting data, and everything that's going on in the world of the NFL. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. If you're on YouTube, please follow and rate. If you're on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, we appreciate your guys' support as always. Keep following us on Twitter at DJHH Sports and at AndyHH Sports. We're putting out a lot of plays. We got a lot more content coming your way. Things are going to get so much more exciting here as we turn the corner into the postseason, and then even into the offseason. We got a lot of fun plans over at happyhoursports.net. So thank you guys for so much, as always.
I love you all. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. The boys bet better with beer.